Wall Street Mania. What is up? So I just finished my last video. Please go watch that if you have not watched it, which is the video on how to use TradingView. Now this video, as the title shows you guys, this is how I mark up my support and my resistance zones on a higher time frame. So without further ado, let's jump into it. You know why? Because it's 1:21 in the morning. And I do this for you guys. Lord. Anyway, let's do this. So what I do, and as time goes on, after we get this video out, I'll finally reveal my strategy, but I'm going to kind of reveal it in this instance anyway. I basically just use a higher time frame, such as the 4 hour and 1 hour. And then once price bounces off of it, I go to a lower time frame and I get in on a trade. Now, how do I find these support and resistance zones? This was a very, very hard thing for me at the beginning because I didn't understand it. I understood support and I understood supply and demand, but I didn't understand how people did support and resistance. And I think that it is amazing, actually. So here we go. So me personally, I use a 4 hour time frame. So since I'm using the 4 hour time frame, I'm going to look for any area where price has bounced off of a huge amount or multiple times. So for example, let's just say that I've never seen these right here. So I'm going to do a replay real quick. Boom. So we see on the 4 hour time frame, and again, on a higher time frame, price is gold. Because on a higher time frame, it is most likely to bounce off that same area. The lower your time frame is going to give you false signals. The higher your time frame is going to give you way more promising signals. So please remember that as well. Okay. Let me make sure this thing is still going for y'all. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. So the first thing I'm looking at is I see without any indicator at all, I see that price came down or price went up. And then it completely dropped hard on a 4 hour time frame. When I see this big drop right here, you know, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my tool out. And the way I mark out my zones is I'm gonna mark it out from the highest wick to the top of the body. So if we're looking at it a supply or demand zone, you're gonna mark out the last candle. If this was a supply and demand zone, I will mark out the last candle before the big drop. So the last bullish candle before the big drop. I'll put it that way. That's how I would have marked out a supply and demand zone. For this one, I'm going to do the same thing. That last candle before the big drop, I'm going to mark that out to the top of the body. And then I'm going to mark the highest wick out. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it out. So what happens when price comes back? The hope is price is going to tap into this zone and it's going to react again. And you see what happened here? Price taps this zone and it keeps reacting off of it. So for me, if I get one tap, again, I'm just looking for an area where price started and then dropped, or price was at the bottom and it went up. And then from that point, I'm marking out that zone. And we can do this for this too. So just kind of go through it. So price obviously was here and it went up. So another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out this right here. And how do I do it? I mark it out from the bottom of the wick to the top of the body. And what happened? Price kind of bounced off of it. And as y'all kind of see, it kind of played in between these zones as well. So this tells me personally, this is a valid support and resistance zone. Okay, so we're going to start back here before we come over here, for example. So once again, price bounces down here. What I would do is I would go to a lower time frame. Once I see a break of structure, I'm getting in on a buy. Once it taps into here, I'm going to go down to a lower time frame, look for a break of structure. I'm getting in on a sell. And then I'm going to wait until it hits these areas. And again, you can play this not only on a 4 hour time frame, but you can play this on a 1 hour time frame, a 5 minute time frame. You can play this on whatever you want, to be honest. You can play it on PlayStation for all I care. but this is how it works for me. So once again, I'm marking out the top of the wick to the body. So let's say I didn't want to use this one anymore and I just seen this one and I seen a huge drop right here. Okay, cool with me. I'm going to take this white candle, I'm going to mark it out there, and then I'm going to mark out the highest wick. Boom. This is my resistance zone because this is telling me that price is reversing in this particular zone. Now, if you don't understand support and resistance, think of it like this. Think of this as the house. If you're on the floor is your support because that's what you're walking on. It's supporting you. And then think about you being the Hulk and you're trying to jump out the house, okay? Now, obviously, the Hulk could make it out of the house, but if you were human, but you had the Hulk's ability, you couldn't jump out because the roof would resist you from getting out. So what do? This right here is going to be your resistance zone. What I call it is just basically a hot zone, okay? But this is your resistance zone. This is going to be your support, okay? That's the plain and simple. The reason why I just call them hot zones is because think about the stove. If I touch the stove, I'm going to quickly pull my fingers back, right? I'm like, that's hot. So this is why I call it hot zones. Because what happens is when price taps into these zones, it kind of reacts and reverses. It burns itself in this zone, burns itself in this zone, burns itself in this zone. So that's why I just call these things hot zones. Again, it's just something I made up. They're basically just support and resistance zones, okay? I ain't gonna get fancy or anything fancy smancy. That's all these are, just support and resistance zones, okay? Now, another way, so this way we don't keep this video long at all. Another way that you can do is you can play break and retest. So for me, what a break and retest is when price comes down. Let's say this zone right here. This zone has been tapped into multiple times. It has been tapped into. That tells me that this is a freaking strong zone. Now, what I'm going to do from that point is I'm going to wait for price to break through it. And then it has to clear. I'm talking it has to be completely clear from it. Not like it went through here and it was still touching. It needs to completely leave and then tap back in. Now, for me personally, I would play that because that is a break and retest. So at that point where this was a support zone, remember, it's supporting you inside the house. The minute it breaks through and comes back up, support turns into resistance. So think about that as well, okay? But again, try not to get too off topic. This is simply how I draw up the zones. Another thing, if I'm going to my 1 hour time frame, I'm just looking for the same thing. I'm looking for any area where price reverse. So we have this right here. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out the black candle all the way to the wick, and I'm going to stretch it over. Price comes up, price comes back down, taps in, and as you can see, it went up. Now again, this is the 1 hour time frame. On a 1 minute time frame, you definitely be able to make some money off of it. And a matter of fact, if I measured it, it goes up to about 128. That's 128 points. If we're looking at 2 contracts, that's basically $1,200 that you just made. You see what I mean? So even though it looks small on a 1 hour time frame, you're making money right there for sure. Is it always going to bounce at these zones? No. Just because it's a 4 hour time frame, just because it's a 1 hour time frame, just because it's a 1 day time frame, it does not have to follow the rules of reacting every single time. There is a high chance. The higher you go, there is a very high possibility that it will, but there are times where these things will fail. So you got to have your own rules set in place on how you want to play these zones like I do. But overall, again, this is just how I mark up the zones. Once again, if we go to our 1 day, and we'll kind of end it here, so it's not too long, I'm looking for any area where price reverse, big time. So price obviously reversed here. And this is a good example. Price started here and it went all the way up. I would mark out this particular zone. But as you can see, when price made it over, it went straight through. So it's not a valid zone for me. Okay. But if we look at something like this, and remember how we have it marked out, we go from the body or the wick to the body. We mark that out. We stretch it out. Now, obviously, it kind of went through, but as you can see, it did come down and it did react or whatnot. So again, not every zone does it. And then this right here is a small zone. See where price started and went up? Cool. Same exact thing. We can mark this out and look what happened. And again, what did I call this right here? This is my hot zone. So price went up, went down. Actually, it's on a 1 day, so same thing. Boom. Let's just change this to the 1 day. So this is my 1 day hot zone. What happened? Price came down, burnt his finger, shot up to the moon. And if you would have got in on that particular trade, you, my friend, would have made, that's about 16,000 at that point. You would have made $16,000 just on 2 contracts. So think about that. So again, I don't want this video to be long at all. This is me showing you guys how I mark up the zones. I mainly, again, look for any area where price shot up or shot down, and I mark out the body to the wick, the highest wick, and then I stretch it over and I wait. Plain and simple. So hopefully this video wasn't too complicated. I would definitely make more videos about this, but again, if you did like this, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know. Feel free to let me know in comments if you didn't understand it. Cool. If I'm just too tired and I ain't explaining it, let me know. I have no problem with making these videos. Again, I enjoy them. I really enjoy helping you guys. But besides that, I got to edit, get my butt to bed. But love you guys. Keep God first. Please keep God first. Always depend on him. That's not a slogan. I really mean that. And this gnat is killing me. But love you guys. Love you guys. Peace.